Okay, hey everybody. It has been a minute. What a crazy year so far. More craziness to come, but I think we're starting to be positioned for a long-term win. Thank y'all for hanging in there. I know you've needed this material for a while, but we're finally starting to be in a place where you can get it regularly. Without further ado, let's start hitting it. Today is going to be about linear inequalities. Now, in order to really tackle this, you're going to need to be very, very comfortable with graphing linear equations, period. So this video is going to be separated into two sections. I'm going to spend the first section teaching you about linear equations. If you are not comfortable drawing a line, recognizing slope-intercept form, please watch this part of the video. You need to have this mastered to touch linear inequalities, and more importantly, to understand it. Remember, we're not just learning stuff to get through it. We want to learn it to learn it. That's where the strength is. And I know many of you may think, yeah, but Mike, I'll never use this stuff. Perhaps you will, and perhaps you actually won't. Like, you might actually be right. You may never, ever, ever use this stuff again outside of school. Catch. That's not the point. In learning how to problem solve with math, you learn how to problem solve actual problems in real life. It's not the same thing, but it does require the same set of skills. Can you bump into something you're not comfortable with? Can you push through stuff you're not comfortable with? And most importantly, can you learn the skills you need in order to tackle problems? That is one of the biggest contributions math can make in your life. Now, if you already understand and are very, very comfortable with linear equations, again, go ahead and skip to later on this video. I will try to timestamp it for you so you can see what parts start with the linear inequalities. I don't expect this video to be over 40 minutes total, but if it is, try to use it and make good of it, okay? Like always with my videos, it's super important that you don't just watch the video, okay? It's super imperative that you take the material and practice it. Sorry, Bailey, my dog just came in. Hang on to me. All right, there we go, because she just eats anything. Anyhow, listen, it's super important that you work the problems you see, okay? It's okay for you to watch one problem. That'll be fine. But after you see that first one, please pause this video and work the problems as you go through. In working the problems, you will gain the confidence and the skills that you came here looking for, okay? Watching will only make you feel good by looking at it and being like, oh, okay, I think I get it. You don't really know if you get it, though, until you have to do it on your own. So please pause the videos, try to work them on your own, then unpause them if you get stuck, and then use, my working through it and the answers to help guide you. But please, please, please do the work. Show the steps, which is my point number 2 for you before we get started. Show your steps in math. Many of you actually aren't bad at math. You're just used to doing numbers in your head. That's fine in elementary school. It doesn't work anywhere else. Same as wearing diapers at one point in time is fine, but it doesn't work too much more beyond a certain time. Same thing here. Past elementary school, doing stuff in your head isn't impressive and it doesn't help you. Instead, write your steps out. Not only will you finish the problem more correctly, but you'll be less stressed and a lot more confident because you can see how you got there. As I'm writing these steps out, don't think that it's just there to teach. I want you writing your steps out too, in detail, just like I do. Yes, it's extra writing, but you know what it's not? It's not extra minutes or hours off of sleep. It's not extra minutes after school or during PE making up work, and it's not extra minutes or hours being stressed out. So please invest the minutes early into your written work, showing your steps, so that you don't have to pay the piper later for having tried to do it in your mind. I find lots of people do very, very well when they come in and they simply write out the steps. Last thing I have for you before we begin is if you feel stuck after this, and frankly, if you feel stuck at any point in time during the year, come on and see us. It's what we do 24/7. Well, not quite 24/7, although I am almost 24/7. Um, but it is what we're here to do. And you don't have to feel stuck to come along either. If you just want to get extra practice to feel better, to get stronger at it, I'm fine with that too. As the year goes on, we'll become more robust, and I think you'll find that your time here not only productive, but extremely helpful. Without further ado, let's go ahead and make sure we've got the essentials of graphing down. After all, that is the foundation of linear equalities. It is what will set you up for success. So let's get some graphing paper here. And the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and set up a couple of these nifty things. Now, those of you who need to skip past this, I'm going to go ahead and write the word linear equalities across this. Or sorry, not linear equalities, or linear graphs, okay? When it's time to do inequalities, what I'm going to do is write the same thing across the screen, except it'll say inequalities. If you need to fast forward to scroll through the video, go ahead and look for when you see me write linear inequalities. That way you can find it faster, in case I don't get to the time step fast enough. I'll write it in pink when we get to the actual inequalities, okay? Now, here's what you're going to do for linear graphs. First thing I want you to notice, and this is the way I really like for people to learn it, is you're looking for a particular form called slope-intercept form, okay? Slope-intercept form is what allows you to look at a graph and tell exactly where it's going to go. Now, here, let me set this up here. There we go. Oh God, well, oh Lord, bless it. All right, there. We'll just okay. It's being temperamental. There you go. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. All right, the graph is being temperamental. Okay, so let's have a look. This right here is your best friend. Y, yeah, let's make it a little bigger. Y equals mx plus b. This right here is your best friend. Okay, let's quickly review what this stuff is. In order to understand linear graphs, make sure you're super comfortable with this bad boy right here and this bad boy. Let's start with the most important, slope. Slope is usually represented by an M. Don't ask me what the M means. I don't know. I just know they're represented by M. That's fine, no problem, as long as you know what slope is. Now, slope is how you describe going from one point to another. So for example, take a look at this line. This line is going from one point to another. The only way you can tell how to get from this point to this point is to count. Now, some people count like, oh, 1, 2, 3, but that you can't really rely on that, okay? Instead, you count by going up and over. In slope, this is called rise over run. Whatever name you give it doesn't matter to me as long as you know what you're doing. You are going to count how many units you go up or down and how many units you go right or left. I just want you to get used to up and right, up and over, because, well, I'll show you why later. So let's start right here at this point and try to make it to the other orange point. We need to go up 1, 2, 3. I'll put that over here by how much I rised. I know that's not how you say rise, just stay with it. And then you're going to go over 1, 2, 3. Now some of you ask me, Mike, do you count this point right here? No, okay? Because you already went up, so there's no need to recount that point. You just start counting right here as you go over, okay? Let's go ahead and put the proper colors on this. So you went up 3 and you went over 3. So let's go ahead and put that in our run part. All right, so it looks like we went over 3. So we went up 3 and over 3. Our slope then is 3 over 3. Now, I'm going to leave it like this for a second, because I just want to make sure we're still on the same page. Can you see that's how we got from that point to the next? We went up 1, 2, 3, and then we went to the right 1, 2, 3. That's why the slope is 3 over 3. And if you take a look, you could actually make it to the next point on this line doing that. Let's go up 3, and let's go over to the right 3. Now, I didn't draw my line properly, but the line should actually be there. So here, let's correct this line by making it straight. Okay, that's what it should actually look like. The neat thing about slope is it will give you an exact answer. If you try to freehand it, doesn't work. Now, hopefully that makes sense. If not, rewind it until it makes sense, because I'm going to do another example here on slope and how you got that. If it doesn't feel clear yet, rewind it and take another look at that, okay? Let's work another one. Let's write down our essentials first. That slope is the same thing as rise over run. And that rise just means up or down, whichever way you're going. And that run means left or right. Okay? Or actually here, let me write it as this. I'm going to write it this way. It means right or left. Okay? We'll talk about how to do that in a second. Now, let's use an actual graph here. We're going to figure out the slope of a line that does this. Okay? So let me go ahead and connect the dots, and I better use exact, all right? Because if not, it will ding me. Now, I don't have a ruler in this app. I recommend y'all use a ruler if you can when you're drawing linear, linear graphs, because it does help. Y'all be patient in that it's going to be slightly off because I can't get a perfectly straight line, but you can if you use a ruler in real life. All right, now let's go ahead and count how many dots it takes to get from one point to the other, okay? If you want, you can go ahead and pause here and give it a shot. So go ahead and pause if you want to try it on your own. You're solely counting how many units you need to go down or up to get to the next point. Make sure you do it as your up or down, and then count your left or right. Pause here if you need to. Okay, let's begin counting. Now, there may have been two ways you all approached this. You might have approached this by counting from this dot here and going up. Or you might have counted from going this dot here and going down. I'm going to stick with up for now, okay? But I'll show you the other way too. Let's start here and let's go up until we get to the same place as this dot here, okay? So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that our rise then is 7. And then let's count how many we need to go left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our run is 5. Now, that's the exact number that you need to go. Great job if you got that. Now care. Remember that I said you count rise over run by going up and to the right, right? We went up and to the left. If you had to go left, you would need to put a negative sign in front of that 5, okay? Because when you go to the right on a graph, numbers get bigger, remember? Notice that? And as you go left on a graph, numbers get smaller. So you have to use negative if you're going left. So our rise over run should be, and remember our actual word for this is slope, our slope should be 7 over negative 5, which is the same thing as just negative 7 over 5. Okay? The other way to do this is to start, now before I continue, check and see if that's what you got, and check and see if that makes sense. If you got 7 over 5 but didn't get the negative part, that's okay. 7 over 5 is the correct number. But remember, your 5 has to be negative because you went left. That's why it's negative. It's because you went left. If you had gone right, it would be positive. But if you had gone right, you wouldn't hit the line. You would have gone this way. Okay? But we're not going that way. That's why it's negative for those who may have that question. Now, let's try to start at this point here and go down. So let's go down. We're going to start with our rise right here. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? And then we're going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aha! See that? So we got 7. I'm trying to keep this stuff color coded. So we got 7 over 5. But we went down 7. So the down must be negative, because remember, numbers get smaller as you go down, not bigger. So you must do negative since you went down. So it doesn't matter which way you go. You would have either gotten negative 7 over 5, or 5 over negative, or 7 over negative 5. Either way you count it is okay. The point is, slope tells you how to get from one point to the other. All right? Now you try. Please, let's see here. Let's get us a graph going. Please tell me the slope of this line. Oh, actually here, let's make a couple copies of this because y'all are going to need at least 3 practice problems to really get this bad boy. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. Please tell me the slope of the following lines. Okay. Do this one. And then some of you are like, Mike, that thing is off. Like, I know, hang on. There you go. All right. Uh-oh. Okay. Try to do this one. Let's try to do this one. And let's try to do this one. Uh-oh. Okay, it's pretty good. All right, simply tell me the slope of each of these. That's all we're doing. And remember that your slope is rise over run. Okay? Go ahead and pause here if you need to and see if you can work those through. So go ahead and pause and give these a shot. And remember, your slope is simply rise over run. Count how much you're going up or down. Remember, if you're going down, it's negative. And then put that over how much you're running, which should be left or right. If you're going right, it's positive. If you're going left, it's negative. If you ever forget that, just ask yourself, do numbers get bigger or smaller when you go left or right? Do numbers get bigger or smaller when you go up or down? That'll tell you if you need to be negative or not, okay? Go ahead and pause here if you haven't already. We're just doing slope, okay? going to go ahead and give the answers here in 5 seconds. Please pause if you haven't, so you had a chance to work through these. And I'll give you a pause warning on each of these, that way you can work one at a time. Ready, set, let's begin. All right, the slope for this one, we're going to start here, okay? And I prefer to go ahead and count up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and count down. And it's okay if you went to the right first or went over here and then went up. That's okay too. Just see if you got the same count, okay? So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. So my rise should be a negative rise, so -3, meaning I went down. And then my run should be 1, 2, 3. I went to the right 3, so that is a +3. So my slope, which is also known as the m, is equal to -3/3. Bonus points if you went ahead and realized that -3 divided by 3 is -1. Okay? But if you got it like this, I'm okay with that for now. Okay? All right, great job. Notice that if you go the other way, you get 1, 2, 3, which would be 3. And then you go to the left 3, 1, 2, 3, which would have been a -3. And you end up in the same place anyhow. So it's okay if you did it the other way around. All right? Next. Pause here if you haven't already to work this one. Giving you the solution in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Alrighty, let's start here. And let's go up until we get to the next dot. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're going to go up 8. So we're going to rise 8. And then we need to run 1, 2, 3. Okay, so our slope for this, and we went all positive. We went up and then to the right. That's all positive stuff. So our slope then for this one, m equals 8/3. Okay? All right, next. Go ahead and pause if you haven't already, so you can work this one. Okay? All right, here we go. Prepare yourself. I'm going to start by marking the place I'm starting, and I'm going to go down 1. So my rise for this one should be -1. And then we're going to go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay? So our slope for this one then should be -1/7. If you got 1/-7, that's the same thing. -1/7 and -1/7 are the same. So don't worry about it if you got like 1/-7, doesn't matter. As long as you got that your answer was negative, that there's only one negative sign in there, and that it's 1/7, you're good to go, okay? This is your slope. So for your third one, -1/7, second one, 8/3, first one, -1 or -3/3, okay? Hopefully you got those. If not, come see us, okay? Come see us if you need a little more on the slope stuff, okay? But those 3 should have pretty much warmed you up into it. I'll give you one more because I'm a believer in that, and then we will move on to what this has to do with actually graphing a line, okay? All right, please tell me the slope. Remember, we're just finding slope here. We haven't found any equations yet. We're just finding slope. Tell me the slope, which is, hopefully you remember, m, which is rise over run. Tell me the slope of this line. Okay, go ahead and pause if you haven't already. Oh, duh, I should probably get this color thing out of the way, huh? Okay, go ahead and pause if you haven't already. Okay. Alrighty, incoming answer. Go ahead and pause if you haven't had a chance to solve it. Alright, let's do this. So we're going to start here. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our rise is -6 because we went down. And then we're going to go to the right, 1, 2. We went to the right 2. So our rise is -6, we went down. And our run is +2, we went to the right 2. Therefore, our m is -6/2, which is, what is -6 divided by 2? Hopefully you said -3. Our m is -3. Okay? Now some of you may be saying, -3, how is that the same as -6/2? First of all, you know that by dividing, right? -6 divided by 2 is -3. But if you want to see it on a graph, what that means is you can actually make the same line by going down 3, because look, this says -3. And if you remember whole numbers as a fraction, -3/1 is the same thing. So you can go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. Ta-da! Look at that. And if you go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, ta-da! You'll see how you made the exact same line. So notice there's so many ways to get the right answer with slope and graphing that you're really safe if you know what you're doing. There's lots of ways to figure out if you got it right or not, okay? So -3/1 is the same thing as -6/2 when it comes down to graphing, okay? All right, hopefully that's a good reminder as to how slope works, all right? Now let's tie it to what this has to do with linear equalities in the first place. Or sorry, linear graphs. And then we can actually talk about linear inequalities. Need another graph here. Okay. Let's take the following line. Let's do this, and let's do this. Okay? All right. Uh-oh. All right, first of all, show me the slope of this line, please. Let's go ahead and count it out. If you haven't already, go ahead and pause and give me the m of this line, the m, the slope. All right, pause if you haven't already. All right, here we go. So the m of this line should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go up 5. That's our rise. And then we're going to run 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to run 4. So our m for this line is 5/4. Okay? Now, that's not the equation of this line. Let's go ahead and make the equation. Okay? There's a couple of ways to read and make equations. Okay? We're only going to go over one way to do that. That way to do it today is called slope-intercept form. Okay? It's called slope-intercept because A, you need the slope, which you guys know how to do now. Hopefully, if you're this far and haven't, panicked yet. If you are panicking, just come see us. And now we're going to talk about the intercept. Okay? This form shows you equations like this. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? The b part and the m part are the interesting parts we're going to talk about. Okay? You're always going to have here, let me just highlight instead here. You're always going to have y, then your equal sign followed by whatever the slope number is in front of x. Okay, so here's a couple of ways this thing shows up when you're looking. It might show up like this, it might show up like this, it might show up like this. Doesn't matter. You'll always notice that the y is sitting by itself, okay, and that the x, or sorry, that the x has some number in front of it. Okay, that's the common pattern you can see in these. Is y is there, it has an equal sign, There's some number in front of x, and there's usually some number next to x, although there may not always be. Please make a note. There is no number in front of this y. That's super important. If there is a number in front of that y, this does not work. There's a different form you can use when there's a number in front of the y, but if there's a number in front of the y, you cannot use this form. For our purposes, I'm going to give you these equations with no number in front of the y. I will create a separate video for what you do when there is a number in front of y, okay? For now, our y will just have y. And the numbers in front of x are the slope. So notice that m right here in our formula, here, let's highlight it. The m in front of our formula is the same m we've been talking about this whole time, slope. So in this case, -3 is the slope of this line. 1/5 is the slope of this line. 1/2 is the slope of this line. You can see the slope of a line in the equation itself, as long as it's in this form, where there is a y on its own, some number in front of x, and then whatever's going on out here, okay? The slope is right in front of the x. You can see it, it's poking out. With that said, let's go ahead and build the first part of the equation for this line that we built at the start of this. It should be y equals our slope, which we said was 5/4. We need to put an x next to it, because remember, that's what the form goes. The form is y equals mx plus b. So we put our m there already. We've got our y equals, and now we've got our x. Now we need to put the plus b. The plus b is the part we need to talk about. The plus b is the part of the line that touches the y-axis. This is called the y-intercept. And it's literally where the line crosses the y-axis. In this case, it is right here. When I say crosses, I mean like, here's the y-axis. Bloop, this thing, you know, the gray line going up and down. Here, let's highlight it. And here's the line we drew. Okay? And here is where the line touches the y-axis. Right here. What number is that? What number is where the line touches the y-axis? Let's find out. Looks like it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this line touches the y-axis at 5. So the y-intercept of this line is 5, because that's where the line touches the y-axis. The y-intercept is the b part of this equation. So if you're going to make the equation for the line we just did, it should be plus 5, because 5 is where it crosses here. And our slope was 5/4, so that goes there. We've got our x here, we've got our y, we've got our equals. This should be the equation of our line. Y equals 5/4 x plus 5. Okay? If that was a lot, rewind it and go through it piece by piece. I'm going to show you a couple more of these so you have an opportunity to digest it, okay? Let's have a look at one more. And then we'll start solving a few of these. Okay. Let's do here and here. Let's go ahead and connect them. Let me go ahead and write you what this equation is. I know some of you might already be counting slope. That's wonderful if you are. The slope of this line should be 1, 2, 3, and then over to the right, 1, 2. So the slope should be 3/2. That's our m, which is rise over run. We did 3 over 2. So it should be 3/2. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the x for the equation here. Y equals 3/2 x plus b. And the b in this case, remember, is wherever this line touches the y-axis. Wherever it touches the y-axis, not the x-axis, okay? Wherever it touches the y-axis, which is up here. And that number is 1, 2, 3. So it touches the y-axis at 3. So this should be y equals 3/2 x plus 3. This is the equation for this line. Okay? I'm trying to move it so y'all can see it better. Okay, well, we're just going to leave it there because it wants to stay there. Okay? That is the equation. The plus 3 comes from here because it is at 3. And it is a positive 3, mind you. And the 3/2 come from us having to go... Oh, sorry. Some of y'all may have caught the mistake I made. You have to go down 3. This should be negative 3/2. So the negative 3/2 comes from you going down 1, 2, 3, and then going to the right 2. Hopefully you caught my boo-boo there, okay? So your equation for this line should be negative 3/2 x plus 3. All right? Let's work another one. Let's go and make a few more of these because we're going to need plenty. Math really is like the gym. You just have to put in reps and it comes. It really does. Fun fact, that's why we call the room we operate the training room. This is where you train. Y'all hang on. The iPad is frozen. That's not good. Give me a sec. Maybe I can get it unfrozen. Yeah, not what we're really looking for in the middle of a stream. Hang on. Uh-oh. Okay, well, let's do this then. Let's end this, and I will, or actually, no, we don't have to end the stream, but let me just kill this for a second. And you should be able to still hear my voice, because the app froze, and that was not the ideal time. Hey.
Hey, what do you want? What do you want?
Whatever. Let's. Wait, is everybody home?
Oh, we're gonna pick up.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. All right. Enjoy. Okay, take your time. Welcome back.
We're gonna be bailing you.
That's fine. Yeah, she can hang out. Okay. Okay, I think we're okay now. All right, I think we're unfrozen now. Okay, you should be able to see stuff again. Okay, great. All right, so let's do this. So let's try another one. All right, let's do. Okay, these aren't going to be perfect, but I want us to save time by just, working it through, okay? So, let's go ahead and figure out our slope. So first thing I'm going to do, though, is set up my equation. It should be y equals mx plus b. All right, let's find out what the m is. So we're going to start at this point here, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it went up 6. And I went to the right, 1, 2. So 6 over 2. 6 over 2 is the same thing as 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Okay? So the first part of our equation should be y equals 3x. Mike, why are you leaving this x in there? Because that's part of the equation. And we will talk more about what you can do with that later. All right? Just remember, once you find your slope, put it in front of x. Okay? Because you are doing this part of the equation every time you find slope. You are finding what m is, okay? And that is super important. All right, so fine, y equals 3x, and then let's see where this line touches the y-axis. Again, y'all, I know it's not perfect. Just call it this right here. Oof. Call it this right here, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I clearly know it kind of more crosses at 5, but I didn't draw it perfect, okay? You can see that. So let's call it 6. So 3x plus 6. That's the equation for this line. All right? Well, let's work another one. Let's instead draw a line based on an equation that's already given us. Let's do y equals 1/2 x minus 2. All right? Here's how we're going to do that. This right here, remember, is the number that's next to the x. That is our y-intercept because we're using y equals mx plus b for our form. Now keep in mind, this y doesn't have a number on it, so you can do this. If this y had a 2 in front of it, you can't do it anymore. The y cannot have a number in front, okay? Or rather, the number has to be 1. All right, so fine, we're going to use y-intercept form. Here's our b, okay? This is where it touches the y-axis, remember? This -2. So let's put our first point at -2 then. Now some of you might be like, whoa, Mike, why are you putting it at -2? Because remember, the y-intercept, this plus b, this number out here next to x, is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Now some of you might say, yeah, but Mike, this says plus b, not minus b. You're right. But what happens when you plus a -2? You get -2. Now, if some of you didn't get that, that's okay. Here's what I want you to remember. Whatever number is out here next to the x is your y-intercept. That's not entirely true, but it'll be true enough for our purposes for today, because I don't want you getting hung up on positive, negative numbers when we're talking about slope. If you're uncomfortable with positive, negative numbers, we need to talk about that in a separate video. So let's not get into the weeds here with that. We'll do that another time. For now and for our purposes, whatever number is next to the x is the y-intercept, okay? So fine, we have a dot at -2, right? Let's go there, and now let's do our slope. Our slope says, because remember this number in front of the x is our slope. It says to go what? Hopefully you said up 1, because that's the rise, it's the number on top, and then over to the right 2. So our next point should be right here. Okay? Let's put a straight line through it. Ta-da! This is the line of y equals 1/2 x minus 2. You can tell because it touches the y-axis at -2, and it goes up 1 and to the right 2. Got it? Let's do a few more. Let's do the line of -3/4 x plus 5. Go ahead and pause and give this a try on your own. If you're not sure how to, rewind the video and look at that first part so you can actually start trying this now. Remember, the strength is all in the doing. It's all in the trying. Go ahead and give that a crack. All right, I'm going to start working in 3, 2, 1. All right, so remember that our form y equals mx plus b. Let's first check and make sure that there's no number in front of y, that y is just by itself. Looks like it is. So we can use this form then. You need this y by itself to use this form. Now, let's take our plus 5, which is the y-intercept. That's where the line touches the y-axis. And let's go ahead and put a point there. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta-da! Right here. Okay? Now, let's look at our slope. Our slope, let's do it in a different color. Our slope right here, okay, tells us how much to go up or down from that one point. So let's go down 1, 2, 3, and then let's go to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our next point then should be right here. All right, let's connect the dots. And ta-da! This is the line of y equals negative 3/4 x plus 5. You can tell because, see if you can figure it out. Okay, you can tell because plus 5 is the y-intercept, and that is exactly where this line touches the y-axis. And we went down 3 and to the right 4. Hopefully y'all caught my mistake. I went to the right 5. Ahaha! All right. Now the beautiful part about making mistakes, especially when you're trying to teach, is it really shows what's going on. This should be negative 3/5 x because we went to the right 5, not 3. I really hope some of y'all caught that as I was working it, as I didn't actually mean to make that mistake. But isn't it beautiful that when you work slow and know the technique and know what's going on, that you can catch mistakes like that? Hopefully you caught it. Great job. Now you try 2 more here on your own, and then we're going to shift to inequalities. Let's get 2 graphs set up here. Make sure you're pausing these videos and trying, okay? All right. Please graph this line. Y'all forgive Bailey. She just does what she does. Okay. Please graph, or sorry, please write the equation of this line, okay? Remember, y equals mx plus b form, please. Go ahead and pause the video if you haven't already and give me the equation for this line. All right, giving you the answer in 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to start with our b, which is where the line touches the y-axis, which looks like it's right here. Let's find out what right here is. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whatever my equation is should have a plus 6 on it. All right. Now I'm going to do how many steps it takes for me to go from one dot to another. So let's count that out real quick. I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our m should be 6. Remember, that's a rise. And then we should run 1, 2. So that should be over 2. So my m is 6 over 2, and our b is a plus 6. Let's build the equation of our line then. It should be y equals 6 over 2x plus 6. 6 over 2 is the same thing as 3. So it should be y equals 3x plus 6. Okay, let's double check it. According to this formula, we should be able to start at 6. And go up 3 and over 1, but that's going to take us off the graph. 1, 2, 3, blah. Here, let me put it in a different color. But notice now, that actually still works. It just takes us off the graph. Let's start down here. Okay, let's start down here. So if you start here, and you go 1, 2, 3, ta-da! And look at here, 1, 2, 3. Over to the right one, ta-da! So notice how it still works. And the line does touch at the y-axis. Okay, great job. If you got 3x plus 6, great. If you got 6 over 2x plus 6, good job, but it's not finished yet. Make sure you are simplifying these by reducing the fractions where you can. Okay? One more. And let's go ahead and move this whole thing to give us a little more space to work with. All right, here we go. All right, go ahead and build this equation, please. Go ahead and pause if you haven't already. All right, a few more seconds left to pause. Okay, here we go. Remember that your form is y equals mx plus b. That's what we're doing for our purposes. And we are going to start off by finding our y-intercept, okay? Because that's the easiest thing to pick out. Now, if you did it a different way, if you started out just by counting like slope, I'm okay with that too. That's no problem. I'm just going to show you how to count backwards too. All right, so here we go. We're going to start at, looks like our line touches the y-axis at 1, 2, 3. So we should have a plus 3 for the b. Our b is equal to plus 3. Okay, now I'm going to find our m. Our m, our slope, should be whatever the rise over run is. Let's start. Let's go from here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 down. So it should be negative 3 because we went down, not up. So negative 3. And then let's go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we go to the right 8. So our slope is negative 3 over 8. Now let's put it back in our formula to make one complete sentence. There should be y equals mx plus b. The m is negative 3 over 8. Let's put down our x. And then our y-intercept is plus 3. The formula for this line is y equals negative 3/8 x plus 3. Okay? Alrighty. That should be a pretty good refresher on how to deal with slope-intercept form. Okay, there are many other forms. Point slope, standard form, other form, like there's plenty other stuff. But just for this video, hopefully this form is clear and mastered. Or at least feels better. If you want more practice and if you really want to master it, come on by so we can give you some one-on-one help working through some worksheets. And when I say help, I don't mean you gotta be struggling. I can mean like you really want to crush it. Let's do it. All right. From here, we can start talking about linear inequalities. Okay. Now, I think this video is already approaching the limit I promised you. Yeah, we're actually over. It's 53 minutes. So I'm going to end this video, retitle it as linear equations, just like a review. The next video will be linear inequalities, where we talk about lines just like this, except what it means in an inequality form, and how to find answers and how to do shading and different types of lines with it. But you must have this down to even begin to try to interpret it. So please, if you didn't understand this, please come see me ASAP, because we got to get you through this so you can even touch linear inequalities, okay? All right, see you soon, and if this is helpful, leave a comment